This is a tutorial on how to answer exercise 14.8. So we're looking to see where the soil is contaminated, and the instructions tell us to use a contour interval of 10 parts per billion. So what I'm going to do, I usually like to start from the lower numbers first. So I'm going to start looking down here. You have like 1, 2, 3. I'm going to just kind of see if I could figure out the pattern. You have some higher clustered numbers up here and over here. So I'm going to start with 10 because I do go down to 1. So the first 10 contour line would be 10, and then the next would be 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. So I'm going to start looking where the 10 line would go. So for example, here is 8 and there's 11, so 10 would go in between there. And here is an actual 10 right there. So I'm going to get started with that. I'll be right back. I'll get started. So I started off here, and it seemed if you go really slowly, you know, there's 7, there's 11, and there's 4 and 11, 7 and 11. It actually curves around. So you get this little cluster here, and that is going to be my 10 line. And then actually, since we're going by 10s, you can actually do a 20 line in here as well. Okay, so I'll fill that in, and then I will start over here with my 10s in the middle there. So here's 5, there's 24, 10 would go in there, here's 7, here's 12, 10 would go in there. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of do that around in a few different spots and then see what the pattern looks like. That's 1 and that's 25. 7 and 11. 7 and 40. There's 6 and 12. 10 goes there. Here's 20 and 8. So this is how I am just going really, really slowly. Here's 5, 24, 10 goes in between. Here's 7, here's 12, 10 goes in between. 7 and 16, 3 and 25, 6 and 12. So what you're seeing is that everything on the inside of the circle is greater than 10, and everything on the outside of the circle is lower than 10. And then I started curving around here, and I see there's an actual 10. So I will continue, and then I'll be back. So here is my full circle, and that is the 10. And now I did say everything on the outside of the circle will be less than 10, and then inside the circle is greater than 10. You do see some numbers up here that are higher, but then you do have these lower numbers, 6, 8, 9, and then it jumps higher again. So what that's telling us is that this is a higher section, and this is another high section, and then there's a decrease in between. So it's like a separate high section cluster over there. Okay, so I'll finish drawing in my circles in here, and then I'm going to see what's going on up here. Okay, so that is the cluster that I came up with, and we got the 10, 20, 30, 40 lines. Again, with each line, like the 30 line, everything inside the 30 line is going to be greater than 30, and everything on the outside of the 30 line is less than 30. And that's because we're doing it that way because the numbers are going higher as you go into the center. So if this were a hill, the hill would be going up this way. But this is soil contamination concentrations. It's not a hill. Okay, so we have these two clusters, and now I will start working over here. So again, we're going to look at where the 10 is. And already I see a 9 and a 30. I see an 8 and a 20. 9 and a 30. 6 and 34. Okay, so I'm just going to go around and see where the 10s would go. Here's 3 and 17. Okay, so I will be right back. So this is what I came up with for the 10 line. Again, do really, really slowly, little bit by little bit. Just seeing in between, like here's 23 and 2, so 10 goes in between there. Here was 8 and 23, so that makes this loop around like that. Okay, and then I stopped at the edge of the page. Okay, so that sets up a third cluster. So then I'm going to go inside the circle. I'm going to do the 20, the 30, and so on. So here's the 20 line and the 30 line. There's the 40 line. Now, because I'm using a marker, they're kind of getting like clumped one on top of the other down here, but contour lines are not supposed to touch. It's just because of the marker. Okay, so my 40 looks like I can do all the way up to 80. Here's a 90. Guess I could do a 90 line as well. Okay, so I'm gonna continue that. Okay, so that is the cluster. So we got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and then 90. Okay, it got a little messy in the middle. Okay, so that is going to be all three clusters of soil contamination. Okay, thank you for watching.